Hey everybody, Crafty here. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and today I'm going to be covering my favorite pattern, and this is called the parabolic curve. And this pattern, if you catch it early, like base 3, base 4, you can make a ton of money. And the members have seen this. We've played multiple, but there's relatively not a lot of information like on Google or YouTube, so I figured I'd make a video to cover it. I have a few examples, so we'll start with the basic. So this is almost like stair steps. I call them steps, you can call them bases. So you have like your step 1, step 2, 3, 4 before your final gap up. And that would be the top of this curve pattern. And from that, you'll then sell back off over base 4. So this would be base 4 right here, that price level. And you sell back to base 3, which would be like the mean line of the stock. So I'll go ahead and show you the first example, and it's JMIA. So I drew this right here. This basically is this, but just on a chart. I'll let you guys look at that for a minute to get the gist of it. Um, so then I'll go ahead and remove this. So starting out, let's find basically the stair step pattern. So right here, you can see this kind of chop up, and then it sells back down. That would be our first step. It's really hard to find these parabolic curves. I typically catch them around step 3 or step 4. So, I mean, if you find it on like step 1 or 2 and you go long, then you'll be making a ton of money. So, there's step 2 right here. It does a little pop and drop. So, we come back and look, more chopping. There's step 3. And then you can see step 3 always chops and then it goes higher for step 4. So there's the move higher. It jumped from 774 up to almost $11 right here. So that is our step 4. I'll go ahead and draw some arrows for you guys. So there's step 2, um, step 3 right here, and step 4. So now we know after step 4, the parabolic move, the major gap up, is up to step 5. So here's our step 5 right up here. So once step 5 is complete, you then have a big sell-off, and that would be all the way back to the trend line, back to step 4. So right here, step 4, I'll go ahead and draw a trend line, basically. Um, we'll run this all the way across. So this fell down all the way to step 4, ended up continuing, but just to show you how big that move was, this was step 3. It jumped from 767, and the peak of this parabolic move was at 23.98, almost $24. That's a huge move. But we ended up playing this. This is before I was in the group. This is one of the first parabolics I ever studied. And since then, I was like, wow, this is just a cool pattern. And this is JMIA now. You can see this ended up making just a massive cup and handle. There's your cup right here. There's your handle, and check out that move. That was insane. Um, I'll go ahead and show you a pattern of another ticker that you guys played with me, and this one took place on the 30-minute time frame. When you find these parabolics, they can take place on oftentimes it's your daily pattern. That's why I encourage everyone to focus on larger time frames. It can happen on the 4 hour, the daily. In this case, it was the 30-minute. So I'll pull back up the reference again. So right here, here's our parabolic curve. So we have step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the parabolic move up. So we'll go ahead and draw this out right here. Um, so here's step 1. That's the first base of the stairs. Step 2, step 3, there's 4, and then check out that gap up. Let me redo this one. 4 and 5. We had a member turn $8 into, it was $300 or $400 from this move up to 350 all the way up to 363.9. So that was an insane play. And I called this step. I think it was at 4, and we got to play that gap up the next day. So you can look at it. I like to look at them as stair steps. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then here's our 4th. And then look at this. There's 5. That means the parabolic curve is now completed. I'll go ahead and make the curve here. It's not going to be perfect, but let me redo this. This just gives you the gist of the parabolic move. So, like I say, it follows the curve up, and then after this sell point is reached, it sells back off to step 4. So here's step 4. We drew a line right there over that baseline, and check that out. It bounced right there at that support and continued. But that was an insane move. That was one of my favorite ones. That's the most perfect parabolic move you'll ever see. And another one you guys have played. This is Neo. This is on the daily time frame. Like I say, bigger time frames. This one we caught early as well. I think we caught it around, it was step 3. I put an arrow here. We were calling this one at 26 bucks. And I was saying, you guys, like, this is going to go insane. And we ended up catching this Neo move up, and then it continued all the way. But you can relatively see this curve right here. The curve goes all the way up, and boom, sells. So the sell-off is back towards like step 4, step 3. And in this case, it bounced here at step 4. So that move would have been to $57 all the way down to $38.99. That's back at that step 4 baseline. So that being said, we'll pull up plug. Plug is the play we are in right now. And you may be asking, why are we shorting plug? Because a lot of people did. I mean, look at the weekly. Who would touch puts on this thing, right? All it does is go up. I'll show you how patterns relate to each other. So here's Neo. We'll pull it up on the daily time frame on the left screen. And then we'll pull up plug on the daily time frame. And you can see here's our step 1 on Neo, step 1 plug. So I'll go ahead and just copy all of this onto here. So 2, we can see basically the stairs forming. And then it's literally the same. And then there's 4. So 4. And then of course, after step 4, you see a larger gap up to complete step 5. So here we go. There's our big gap up to complete step 5. Now that step 5 has been completed, I know that plug is going to fall based off of Neo's chart right here. So that move was 57 all the way down to 38, like I said earlier. We know this is going to fall back to the baseline around 4. So around $25. I already have it marked right here. So we know this is going to be almost a $10 to $12 short. So we grabbed the 30 puts expiring on 1/8. So I'll go ahead and make a little arrow showing where. So say it just sells off perfectly to our expiration. 1/8 right here. So we know, like Neo, this move is going to occur. So here was Neo's top, and boom. From step 5, you could have rode puts all the way down here to 38 from 57. And plug, we're already in. Theta's starting to burn us a little bit, but I'm really not worried about this move. I'm expecting Monday it to gap down. It'll start gap filling here. It'll likely try to bounce off this 9 SMA here, which is at 31. It might bounce a little bit. We could probably close our position and re-enter. So it should likely bounce and continue the sell-off. And I have a 25 price target on this play right here. Um, I'm super confident in it. I believe it'll work. I'm very happy with today's close. Um, we had a nice little hammer up here yesterday. You can call it the hanging man, whatever you want to call it, but today ended red as well. So I believe gap down Monday, and it'll continue to follow this purple line right here to this pullback. But that's the gist of the parabolic curve. Um, if you have any questions, please let me know. But I tried to run through this as fast as I could. Thank you for watching, and once again, have a good Christmas.